Good morning, good afternoon. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are listening from. Hope you are well. My name is Emily Bagarukayo, a lecturer at Makerere University, and I am presenting IST paper 77, where we are looking at a systematic review of vulnerability assessment of Wi-Fi in the education institutions. So Wi-Fi is known as wireless fidelity, and it has become very popular in the world today. I'm sure all of us use Wi-Fi, and whenever you reach a place, you're always thinking, is there Wi-Fi? Is there Wi-Fi? Be it a restaurant, be it an office, the first thing we always look for is Wi-Fi. So it has become very popular because of the benefits that include access to network resources without physically being bonded. We no longer have to have wires, the time of wired connections and the time of looking for those ports, the RJ45 ports. It is flexible, and we can move because we can access internet anywhere as long as there's Wi-Fi. However, due to the nature of propagation, it is vulnerable to malicious attacks because we never know who is sending what through the air interface. So that is one of the disadvantages of Wi-Fi, which makes it a challenge in our educational institutions and other institutions. So, for example, at Makerere University, we have, at the College of Computing, we have over 5,000 students, and each time you're going to find them all connected to the internet. They're all they'll come to the building and try to connect to the internet with their devices. No one knows where those devices are from. No one knows whether they are safe. No one knows whether they have viruses. So basically, everyone is prone to the malicious attacks from those different devices because we cannot control for whatever devices they are using. So that is a challenge that we are trying to look at in this research. So our objectives were to review and evaluate typical vulnerability assessment methods on Wi-Fi against the best practices. What are people doing today? That is what we wanted to compare with these vulnerability assessment methods. And then also we wanted to provide recommendations for mitigating the risks associated with Wi-Fi security in relation to education institutions. Then the research approach and methodology that we used is we analyzed existing literature on Wi-Fi security and evaluations in educational institutions. We also did a desktop review in collecting and evaluating information from multiple resources. So we looked at different resources and we did a review on each one of them. And then the security risks were one of the major outcomes or results of our research, and the main three risks are eavesdropping, man-in-the-middle attack, and denial of service. So eavesdropping is when an intruder intercepts transmission over the air from a distance, and this can actually lead to denial of service where somebody has intercepted the work and then you cannot access the network because it has been clogged with different packets. And then also man in the middle is where an intruder is positioned between two hosts with the aim of hijacking the connection. So sometimes this can happen, and there are other risks, of course. There are other risks like viruses, worms, and so on, but these are the main risks that we looked at. So there are different challenges when it comes to Wi-Fi security. Those include the challenge of control. Just because we have so many connected devices, for example, a student may have a laptop, they may have an iPad, they may have their mobile phones. So, and then remember, there are so many students. So controlling this, the administrator has a challenge controlling this. And then also sometimes you find that user devices are not able to support common security solutions. So most of our students are going to have old phones, okay, because of affordability, of course. And this makes it even hard for some of these phones to have or to support some of the new security solutions. Many times we know that we have to update, we have to keep patching. And of course, sometimes the devices do not support the new technology, so the new security solutions. So that can be a challenge as well. Then sometimes we also have interference because of the medium of transmission. I mean, sometimes it's going to rain. Sometimes there's going to be some traffic in the air, and that is going to lead to interference because of the medium that we use. So one of the security requirements are the CIA, that is confidentiality, integrity, availability, and authenticity. So information should not be disclosed to unauthorized individuals, entities, or processes. It should go to the right person that is intended to. That is confidentiality. Integrity ensures that the message will not be altered during communication. The recipient should get the right information as it was sent. And then also availability refers to the ability to provide all services whenever they're needed. When you try to connect to a network and it is not available, it is very frustrating. So this counters the challenge of denial of service. And then authenticity is the assurance that the message or exchange of information is from the person it claims to be from. So we want to be sure that this email has been received from John, and it is actually John that has sent it. So what are the security principles that we look at this time? Security principles, we have network segmentation and segregation, where the network needs to be segmented. No one should access everything. No one should access everything. Certain information should be for only certain people. So that is network segmentation and segregation. And also we have firewalls. Firewalls help to protect information that is coming onto the network. It should not always accept everything. It should be able to filter information as it comes in. The system administrator should be able to restrict users from prohibiting, from seeing certain websites and programs that may be dangerous to the network. And then policy enforcement. The organizations need to have policies on who accesses what and where and when. At Makerere University, we once had a policy which was refusing students or even staff to access websites like social networking, access Google and Gmail and the rest. Not Google, but Gmail, Yahoo Mail, mainly mail, apart from the mail that was from the university. So it used to restrict access to those websites between 8 and 5. And but these days, they have opened the policy to accept us to access some of those. And then device management and monitoring. Our devices need to be managed and monitored to ensure that they have the right, they are right. They can do protect the organization's network from interference. Monitoring, basically to identify malicious activities so that our network is not prone to attacks. So our results are that vulnerability assessment through network penetration testing should be done. So organizations need to plan for this. We need to have experiments where we simulate an attack from the outside to see how strong our network is and identify loopholes. And then the second is that we need to use defense in strength strategy. Defense in strength strategies where we collect, analyze, and assess security events in real time using wireless intrusion detection systems. Here we have central encryption, we have security management, we have per packet authentication, and so on. So that is basically illustrated in this diagram. And then we have Wi-Fi policy enforcements, where tailor-made policies that meet requirements of the institution are formed, and it should include forbidding of unauthorized and reconfigurations of access points. Then we have number 4, which is virtual private network utilization. These aid in authentication of users and encryptions of communications not to be intercepted. Virtual private networks have become very common in Uganda. when the social media tax was introduced, many people started installing VPNs without even knowing what they were. So in conclusion, network administrators are faced with challenges, as we've said, of controlling and managing devices, but we can alleviate this by in-depth constant monitoring of the network, and more emphasis should be given to users than network security, because at the end of the day, security starts with you, the user. So we also need to train our users so that they can have the right policies in place. They can know what measures to take. For example, they shouldn't share their passwords. They shouldn't share the network password with intruders or with other people that are not members of the institution. So all that needs we need to sensitize the users who are our students and even lecturers to be aware of this. And as a result, a suggestion of vulnerability assessment through network penetration testing to reveal real-time malicious activities. Thank you very much for your time. I now invite questions.